Since Tom and Jerry, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is coming out on digital HD here in a couple of weeks, I decided to review Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory leading up until then. I mean, I'm not anticipating Tom and Jerry anytime soon, but I mean, at least it gives me a chance to talk about these movies. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is based on the book by Roald Dahl. It's about this little boy named Charlie who, with his family, lives in poverty. Like, they're barely making it. Like, they have to live off of boiled cabbage soup or something, or whatever it is, I don't know. But it's basically just cabbage and water. Gross. However, he and the entire world finds out that Willy Wonka's factory, which has been closed off to the public for many years, is going to reopen to the public, and Willy Wonka has sent out 5 golden tickets hidden inside Wonka bars for people to find, and those people who find the Wonka bars are going to be invited to his factory for a day for a tour. And once we get to the factory, all sorts of weird craziness starts happening. Now, as a child, I really dug Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I thought it was a really good movie. And rewatching it, it's still a really good movie. Now, you cannot talk about this movie without talking about the late Gene Wilder in one of his best performances to date. I mean, his portrayal of Willy Wonka in this movie is so warm and welcoming, and yet he's kind of a smartass. Like, whenever there's like a child that screws up and is about to probably gonna make a life-threatening decision, he just goes, "Stop, don't, come back." I mean, I just love how much of a smartass this guy is. It's really hilarious. And speaking of smartasses, let's also talk about Jack Albertson as Grandpa Joe. This guy is hilarious. He doesn't get enough credit because, again, he's a complete smartass. Like, whenever some kid's doing something stupid, he'll whisper something snarky to Charlie, and it's just hilarious. However, he's also a very supportive grandfather to Charlie. He really believes in Charlie's dreams and really hates the idea of somebody destroying those dreams and will protect those dreams. And of course, Peter Ostrom is really good as Charlie. There's not really much to say about his performance. He's really good for this movie. The rest of the cast is good as well. Again, there's not really much I can comment about their performances. I mean, they did their job. So, yeah. The songs in this movie are very entertaining. There's 2 that really come to mind when it comes to my favorites in this movie. One is, of course, "Because I Got a Golden Ticket." Yeah, that's me singing. You want to hear me sing again? "Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination." Yeah, maybe I shouldn't sing. But yeah, those 2 songs especially are very great. They're very fitting. Like the whole Golden Ticket song is, so jolly. But with the Pure Imagination song, I mean, not only is it really cool because we really see from Wonka's point of view how proud he is of his accomplishments. Like how he's actually created this huge factory with a bunch of weird stuff. And I'm going to touch on something that I don't think anybody else has really touched. Of course, we know now that Gene Wilder can sing because we grew up on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. But back then in the 70s, when this movie first came out, it was probably very surprising that Gene Wilder could sing this well. Because, I mean, he had a singing scene in The Producers. However, his character was drunk and was supposed to sing badly. But this is probably the first time where they really showcased how well of a singer Gene Wilder could be when he's singing Pure Imagination. And it's very powerful. He does really well with his voice. I also like how in this movie we see how the entire world reacts to these golden tickets, seeing as how everything is just going into mass hysteria. I mean, people are going insane over these tickets. Now, there's one scene where it's basically an auction for the last box of Wonka bars in the UK, and of course people are bidding, and then it doesn't show her, but at one point the auctioneer looks up and goes, "Your Majesty." Basically showing that the Queen in this movie is just as crazy about these golden tickets as anybody else, which is hilarious. And there's one hilarious scene that is kind of dark when you think about it, where this woman is with the police, and they're trying to figure out where her husband is, because apparently some people have taken him for ransom. and the police officer goes on the phone, hearing what the demands are for the woman to get her husband back, and apparently the cop tells her that they said they'll give her her husband back if she gives them her stash of Wonka bars. And then what does she do? She asks for time to think about it. Lady, your husband could be killed, and the cop knows this too. It's hilarious to see how crazy this world is over these stupid golden tickets. And that's the thing about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It doesn't rely on punchline jokes that are just going to make you fall off your seat. It's just little things like that. For example, the people going crazy over the Wonka bars, or the numerous visual gags that are in the movie. All of it is really just little jokes that just pile up to make this a pretty funny comedy. As for issues, there are a few in this movie. For one, the candy room kinda looks like a set. You know what I mean? Like, everything looks like it was placed there. It doesn't feel organic. Especially when you see the chocolate river. Now, I actually did hear that was a real chocolate river that they made, and eventually it started to stink. But it just doesn't look like melted chocolate. It looks like chocolate water, which is probably really bad, but it just doesn't feel like chocolate. It doesn't have that kind of texture like melted chocolate would. Another issue is that if you look at the bubble room scene, you can not only see the strings that are pulling up the actors, but you can also see where the strings are pulling up against Peter Ostrom's clothes. Even in the Blu-ray digital remastering, you couldn't even fix that. And there's an even worse shot where they start going up towards the fan, and you can actually see through them. And not only that, like, they're in a completely different color palette. It's just, really? They couldn't have fixed that? Also, remember when I said that there's a lot of visual gags in this movie? Sometimes it goes a little bit too far. Because around the end, where you clearly see that's a serious scene, and Willy Wonka is clearly disappointed about something that you learn later on, but for some reason there's this gag where, like, basically everything he has is half of something. There's half of a mannequin head, there's half of a safe, there's half of a calendar. I mean, if this was an actual funny scene, then that would have worked. But this is a pretty serious scene, so why try to insert visual gags in there? It doesn't really make it funny, it kind of makes it a little bit awkward because the tone doesn't really fit with the environment. In the end, I really enjoyed Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I don't know if it's one of the greatest movies ever made. Actually, no, it's definitely not the greatest movies ever made. I wouldn't even say it's a great movie, but it's still really enjoyable. The visual gags are funny. The fact that the entire world is going crazy over 5 stupid golden tickets. Wait, why am I doing that? I should do it like this. Gene Wilder is very heartfelt as Willy Wonka. Jack Albertson is really funny as Grandpa Joe. And of course the songs, music, and all that is just done really well. So I'm going to give Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory an 8 out of 10. There's one thing I'm wondering though. Why do people say that the tunnel scene is one of the scariest scenes in any movie? I mean, it's cool, but even when I was a kid, I wasn't really that scared. I mean, it's not a flaw against the movie, because like I said, I still find it to be an entertaining scene. In fact, it's a really funny scene, but this is what you people were scared of in the 70s and 80s? Grow up. But in any case, what do you think of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a like, share the video so we can get the channel circulated, and if you want to see more, click this.